All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about solving one-step equations. We're going to start by going through some quick notes about one-step equations so we can understand exactly what it is that we need to do. So we're going to start by thinking about what the word equation means. An equation could be something as simple as 3 plus 2 equals 5. Here's the important things that we need to understand. We have side 1 of an equation, and we have side 2 of an equation. The most important part of our equation is the idea of them being equal. This right here tells us that everything on side 1 is equal to everything that is on side 2. So when we think about the word equation, we know that it's something that has to contain an equal sign. But as we get into the world of solving an equation, we're not going to see something as simple as that. Instead, we might see something like this, where we're going to include something else, a letter. This letter, as you know from our discussions in class, is a variable. And a variable is something that we don't know. I very easily could substitute in a question mark, or maybe if you remember from elementary school, a different shape, or a circle, or even a box. All of them are simply representing a variable or an unknown value that we are trying to solve for. So we are trying to figure out what that A is equal to. Now, a lot of you might be saying, oh, I know this is equal to 2. Well, you're right, but there's a process that we're going to use to solve an equation that looks like this. And we're going to do it by first dividing our problem in half, or our equation in half, by the equal sign, and then looking at what is happening over here. I see that I'm adding 3. I need to end up knowing what A is equal to. So in order to get A by itself, in fancy terms, isolating the variable, I need to do the opposite of what's being asked, which means I need to subtract by 3. If I subtract by 3 on one side, I also have to subtract by 3 on this side, and we all know that 5 minus 3 is 2. I've now gotten my A by itself, and I've solved my problem. So I use that fancy phrase, inverse operation. And I'm going to write that down for you so you can see it. An inverse operation. An inverse operation is just a fancy way of saying an opposite. So if I'm working with the idea of addition, the opposite is subtraction. Subtraction, the opposite is addition. Multiplication, the opposite, you guessed it, it's division. And for division, last but not least, its opposite is multiplication. So there, I can see what all of the inverse operations are when I'm trying to solve one-step equations for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I'm going to talk you through one more example before we wrap this video up. And it's going to be a word problem. The word problem says that John has X apples. If he adds 5 apples to his pile, he will have 8 apples. What is the value of X? So I know that he has X apples, and I heard the word adding 5. And then it also says in the problem that he will have a total of 8 apples. When I hear that word total, I know that I'm talking about what is on the other side of my equal sign. So now I'm ready to follow our steps. And I'm going to use a different color just so you can see this really clearly. The first thing that we always do, no matter what, is draw our line separating one side of our equation from the other side of our equation. Now I need to isolate the variable, or in simple terms, get the x by itself. I'm trying down here to know exactly what x is equal to. So I look up at my problem and I see that in order to get my x by itself, I need to get rid of my 5. Well, the only way I can get rid of 5 is by subtracting it. Because I see my addition sign, I'm thinking back to that inverse operation, and I'm going to subtract by 5 on this side. And remember, it's an equal sign. What I do on one side, I have to do on the other. So I'm going to subtract by 5 over there as well. 5 minus 5 is 0. They cancel out. So all that's left is my x on the left. 8 minus 5 is 3. And I'm able to solve to know that x equals 3. Now there is one last step that I can do, and it's called my check step, and it is also very important. This is where I take what my x is equal to, and I'm going to put it back into the original problem. So my original problem was x plus 5 equals 8. Well, I know that x is equal to 3 now, or at least I think it is. So I substitute in my x with the number 3, and I'm going to keep the rest of the problem the same. So 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. 3 plus 5 is 8. 8 is equal to 8. My problem is correct, and I've now solved a one-step equation.